This is Abdullah Kashmir, class CS220, Object-Oriented Programming, and this is the project assignment video number 3. Now for the user input, before getting the user input when it comes to encrypting, decrypting, it's either going to be a text file or user input, and this is just class to check whether the user has selected text file, or it's going to be user input by checking input mode in this file, for example keyboard or user input. If it's keyboard, then it's gonna get the input from the keyboard. Now moving to the menus package, this is a class just to clear the screen, and this class is to get the driver letter. Now the reason why I made it in a new class, even though I already have it, is just that I'm using it too much in here, and I just wanted to make it a little bit shorter on me rather than having to write this every single time, and able to call it from all the other classes. Now welcoming menu, this is the welcome. This is just to print the welcome screen, and it's gonna be there for 7 seconds, then it's gonna go to the main menu. Now the main menu is just gonna read the main menu file, and you have noticed like in every one I have, this is the feedback, and this is what the one that printing the feedback in case invalid selections or anything like that. Then it's going to be the selection ender. So there's always this space in here. This is for the feedback, and the selection is going to be always under it, and the rest is on top. Now for the selections is just a switch for the main menu to select what I want. Input check, this class is important, I think, because every time the user is inputting, my whole menu is all numbers. So whenever the user inputs something, it has to be a number, and to make sure my program does not crash, I always use this class to get the input, make sure it is an integer, and return the integer so that it never crashes the program, because I mainly focused that the program doesn't crash by checking everything. Now this class is to select whether encryption or decryption, and let's go to it over here. For example, this is to select encryption, decryption, and shows the current mode. And I have the feedback over here. Now I don't have really feedback that the user selected encryption or decryption, and the reason is that it's already showing down here, so there is no need for feedback. The only feedback is invalid selection. And what it does is this is for the feedback, and it's going to just select whether it's encryption or decryption. And this is going to check the mode, whether the file is empty or the selected encryption or decryption. This is just going to read this file. If it's empty, nothing selected. Otherwise, it's going to write whatever in this file. Now the next one is selecting the wheels. This is going to print the wheel menu, and it's going to select 1 out of 3 from the down here. This is to check the mode for the wheels. Let's go to the wheels menu. It's a little bit more complicated than the other ones. Number 2, selecting wheels. As you can see, I have the feedback is a little bit different. This one is showing the wheels that are already selected. In case if not selected, it's going to show none. And what it's doing is printing this. Then I have these. It's going to be checking mode. Check mode, that means just going to check what's in the file. Like for example, in number 1 there is position 1 there is 3, position 2 88, and position 3 89, and so on. It's gonna print these. This is what the check mode is doing. It's checking position 1, 2, and 3. If it's empty, it's gonna return none. Otherwise, it's gonna return whatever in that file. Now when it comes to selecting wheel menu, which is this one, what I'm gonna do is gonna select the wheel at position 1, position 2, position 3, or back to other menus, and it's gonna print that and everything. And when there's a selection, for example at position 1, it's gonna go run wheel position, which is this class, and it's going to give it the number, and it's going to put the wheel in that position, and it's also going to check whether that wheel exists or not. And so if it doesn't exist, then of course I cannot put it in that position. and so on. This is to go back to the wheel menus and go back to the main menu. Now to create a wheel, this is for creating the wheel. This is back in this menu. Let's go back to 4. This is for creating the wheel, and what it's going to do is going to make sure the number is larger than 0. It's not a negative, and it's going to create the wheel under that number. Wheel list, this is this class to keep track on all the wheel that is created, which is this one. And it's going to add to the list, or in case if I want to delete, I can read this list and delete everything. And this is just to check the wheel if the wheel is exists, and what's gonna do is gonna read that file, is gonna see if it exists or not. If it exists, then there's I can't write the same number twice. For example, if I'm creating another wheel and name it 3, then I cannot name it 3 twice. Or for example, if it doesn't exist, it's gonna add the number at the end, and so on. And this is already went through it, and now this is to create the plug board and reflector. And